His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa visited the Majlis of the late His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Khalifa and exchanged greetings and warm wishes with his sons and family members on the occasion of the last 10 days of Ramadan and wished them many happy returns. The sons and family of the late His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman expressed their deep gratitude to His Majesty the King for their visit, which reflects His Majesty's keenness to remain connected with the people of Bahrain during these blessed days. They prayed to Allah the Almighty to protect His Majesty and grant him good health and happiness. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa also visited the Majlis of the advisor to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, His Highness Sheikh Ali bin Khalifa Al Khalifa. His Majesty exchanged greetings with the attendees on the occasion of the last 10 days of Ramadan and wished Bahrain and its people many happy returns. His Majesty praised the role of Ramadan Majlises in reflecting the kingdom's rich heritage and national traditions. His Highness Sheikh Ali bin Khalifa expressed gratitude to His Majesty for the visit, praying to Allah the Almighty to protect His Majesty and grant him good health and happiness. His Highness wished Bahrain success under the leadership of His Majesty the King. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa also visited the Majlis of the BDF Commander-in-Chief Field Marshal Sheikh Khalifa bin Ahmed Al Khalifa. His Majesty exchanged Ramadan greetings on the last 10 days and expressed his appreciation for the Commander-in-Chief's efforts in advancing the BDF's readiness and capabilities in training and armament. His Majesty praised the role of Ramadan Majlises in reinforcing Bahrain's long-standing values and traditions of Bahrain society, in which the kingdom and its people progress and prosperity. The Commander-in-Chief expressed his gratitude to His Majesty for the visit and prayed to Allah the Almighty to protect His Majesty for Bahrain and its people. He wished Bahrain success under the leadership of His Majesty the King. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa issued Decree 19 of 2025 assigning the Minister of Legal Affairs to assume the duties of the Minister of Labour based on the Prime Minister's proposal and after the Cabinet's approval. The Minister of Legal Affairs is entrusted, in addition to his work, to carry out the duties of the Minister of Labour for a period of 6 months. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa issued Edict 18 of 2025 amending Article 30 of the Executive Regulations of the Civil Service Law, promulgated by Legislative Decree 48 of 2010 and issued by Edict 51 of 2012 based on a proposal by the Civil Service Bureau. Clause Z of Paragraph 1 of Article 30 shall be replaced with the following text. An employee suffering from a chronic illness who has exhausted both their regular and additional sick leave shall be granted one further additional paid sick leave for up to 30 working days per year if deemed necessary by the competent medical authority. The list of chronic illnesses qualifying an employee for such leave shall be determined by a decision issued by the President of the Civil Service Bureau in coordination with the Minister of Health. His Royal Highness also issued Edict 19 of 2025 amending certain provisions of Edict 44 of 2022 regarding the establishment and formation of the Government Land Investment Committee as follows. Clause A of Article 1 of Edict shall be replaced with the following. A committee shall be established under the name Government Land Investment Committee, referred to as the committee, and shall be composed of the following: the Undersecretary for Research and Projects at the Prime Minister's Office, Chairperson; the Assistant Undersecretary for Resources and Information at the Ministry of Finance and National Economy, Deputy Chairperson; the Assistant Undersecretary for Roads at the Ministry of Works, Member; the Director of the Projects Directorate at the Prime Minister's Office, Member; the Director of the Public Revenue Policy Directorate at the Ministry of Finance and National Economy, Member; the Director of the Central Government Procurement Directorate at the Ministry of Finance and National Economy, Member; the Director of the Plans Implementation Directorate at the Urban Planning and Development Authority, Member; the Director of the Central Planning Office, Member; the Director of Developer Relations Affairs at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, Member; the Director of the Technical Evaluation Directorate at the Tender Board, Member; the Executive Director of the Joint Investment Opportunities Directorate at the Economic Development Board, Member; and the Director of Government Real Estate Directorate at the Bahrain Real Estate Investment Idama, Member. Article 4 of Edict 44 of 2022 shall be replaced with the following: the committee shall submit its reports to the Minister of Finance and National Economy, including updates on the progress of its work. The Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa chaired the weekly cabinet meeting at Ghdibiyya Palace to mark the upcoming Eid al-Fitr holiday. The cabinet extended its best wishes to His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the people of Bahrain and the Arab and Islamic nations. The cabinet expressed its gratitude for His Majesty's directives to accelerate the disbursement of 50,000 housing units. The cabinet emphasized its commitment to advancing key sectors such as education and healthcare as pillars of Bahrain's human development in alignment with His Majesty's aspirations. The cabinet praised His Majesty the King for his engagement with citizens through His Majesty's reception of well-wishers from various governorates and through visits to Ramadan majlises. The cabinet also highlighted the importance of His Majesty's speech at the reception. Additionally, the cabinet praised His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister for continuing the long-standing tradition of Ramadan majlises, visits, and engaging with citizens during Ramadan. The cabinet reaffirmed that national cohesion remains a cornerstone of Bahrain's prosperity and progress, ensuring the achievement of national goals that benefit all citizens. On the occasion of Bahraini Youth Day on March 25th, the cabinet reiterated its commitment to empowering the national workforce and Bahraini youth to contribute to the kingdom's comprehensive development under His Majesty's leadership. Additionally, in recognition of the International Day of Conscience on the 5th of April, the cabinet underscored Bahrain's dedication to fostering global compassion and coexistence. The observance was established by the United Nations in response to an initiative by the late His Royal Highness Prince Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa. The cabinet also reaffirmed its commitment in combating climate change and protecting the environment through initiatives such as Bahrain's participation in Earth Hour. The cabinet then approved the following: a memorandum submitted by the Minister of Foreign Affairs regarding Bahrain's candidacy for non-permanent membership in the UN Security Council for 2026-2027 term. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Financial and Economic Affairs and Fiscal Balance on a draft law approving Bahrain's general budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, which will be referred to the Representatives' Council in accordance with the legal and constitutional frameworks. The cabinet then reviewed the draft law on Bahrain's general budget, reflecting the kingdom's commitment to financial sustainability while addressing citizens' aspirations and supporting comprehensive development. Key budget priorities include improving government services, accelerating housing services, strengthening the education sector, infrastructure expansion, fostering economic growth and job creation, and enhancing healthcare services. Infrastructure development is a key focus within the budget to ensure the construction of schools for new housing cities, the restoration of other schools, the expansion of academic facilities, and upgrades to road and sewage networks. The cabinet commended His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister's directives to engage with both chambers of the legislative authority to present the foundation and principles upon the budget is based on. The cabinet highlighted the constructive cooperation between the executive and legislative authorities, noting the coordination between the Shura Council Chairman, the Speaker of the Representatives Council, and the government team led by the Minister of Finance and National Economy. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Financial and Economic Affairs and Fiscal Balance on bails and trusts in criminal cases and the mechanisms for responding to them by the Ministry of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Waqf. A memorandum submitted by the Minister of Cabinet Affairs and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Education and Training Quality Authority regarding the approval of the authority's reports, and a memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs outlining the government's response to 3 proposals submitted by the Representatives' Council. The Cabinet then reviewed a memorandum from the Minister of Justice on key projects' progress under its 2023-2026 work plan. The Cabinet then noted the following ministerial reports: the outcomes of Bahrain's participation in the joint Arab-Islamic Ministerial Committee meeting with the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, and planned external visits by Bahraini ministers as well as upcoming visits by foreign ministers to Bahrain in April 2025. The Speaker of the Representatives Council, Ahmed Lamsallam, received the details of the State General Budget for the fiscal years 2025-2026 from the Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa. Lamsallam affirmed that the royal directives of His Majesty the King are the main path and basic approach to the work of the legislative and executive authorities, according to the principles of cooperation and coordination in the interests of the homeland and citizens, and to achieve good and development in light of the comprehensive development process. He praised the efforts of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister in supporting the fruitful cooperation, developing government performance, working to achieve the financial balance program, and supporting and developing the private sector. Lamsallam pointed out the keenness of the Council to discuss the draft law approving the State's General Budget for the fiscal years 2025-2026 in accordance with the legal and constitutional frameworks, taking into account the supreme interests of the nation, meeting the needs and aspirations of citizens, increasing economic growth, creating promising opportunities for citizens, and achieving financial sustainability. In the presence of the Speaker of the Representatives Council, Ahmed Lamsallam, the Finance and Economic Affairs Committee provided a detailed explanation yesterday on the draft state budget law for the years 2025-2026. The meeting highlighted the discussions held between the executive and legislative authorities in order to submit proposals and parliamentary views in preparation for referring them to the government. The chairman of the committee, Ahmed Salloum, emphasized that the joint meetings between the two authorities reviewed the overall objectives of the budget, the strategic projects related to several vital sectors such as housing, education, works, health, electricity, water, and the environment. The draft general state budget reflects Bahrain's vision in promoting national and economic development and serving the supreme interest of the nation. More in this report.
The executive and legislative branches displayed cooperation through consultative methods, fostering national progress. This was clear in the joint meetings of the 2025-2026 state budget draft. These discussions focused collectively on improving budget principles with the primary agreement to maintain the current value-added tax rates. This approach highlights the commitment to collaboration and fiscal responsibility in government. Our budget discussions also addressed retiree benefits by maintaining the living allowance increase introduced in the 2023-2024 budget and further increasing it for the 2025-2026 budget. This shows a continued commitment to supporting retirees' financial well-being. The authorities are enhancing government services by allocating funds for key projects. This includes improving housing services, supporting education by encouraging Bahraini talent and enhancing curriculum, continuing infrastructure projects, and upgrading healthcare quality for citizens and residents. They also have decided to boost employment and optimize government spending by implementing programs to employ 25,000 Bahrainis annually, increase efficiency of recurring expenses in government entities to reduce spending by at least 5%, and provide direct cash support to low-income citizens if subsidized goods prices are adjusted during the budget cycle. A package of laws aimed to strengthen the financial situation by collecting revenue from high-profit companies to setting incentives for companies to hire citizens and invest, increasing taxes on certain products like energy drinks and tobacco, and introducing carbon emission fees for companies. A plan was created to improve infrastructure and encourage the development of undeveloped investment in commercial lands. It also includes ways to reduce the budget deficit and meet financial needs during implementation.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, participated in the meeting of the joint Arab-Islamic Ministerial Committee on the developments in Gaza with the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy in Cairo. The meeting discussed the latest developments in Gaza, particularly in light of recent Israeli attacks, the collapse of the ceasefire, and the worsening humanitarian conditions. The participants also reviewed the Arab Plan for Recovery and Reconstruction in Gaza and preparations for the International Conference on Early Recovery and Reconstruction set to be hosted in Cairo. A joint statement was issued at the conclusion of the meeting that expressed deep concern over the collapse of the ceasefire and the rising number of civilian casualties. It called for the immediate and full implementation of the ceasefire agreement and the exchange of detainees. It emphasized the need to move towards the second phase of the agreement, including the release of all hostages. The parties welcomed the Arab Recovery and Reconstruction Plan, underscoring its role in ensuring the Palestinian people remain on their land. They strongly rejected any displacement of Palestinians from Gaza or the West Bank, warning of the serious consequences of such actions. A financing agreement for the second phase of development of Sheikh Jaber Al Ahmed Al Sabah Avenue was signed by the Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, and the Acting Director General of the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, Walid Al Bahr. The minister emphasized the long-standing relations between Bahrain and Kuwait, which continues to grow across various domains under the leadership of His Majesty the King and His Highness the Emir of Kuwait. He underscored Bahrain's commitment to continuing the implementation of development programs and plans aimed at enhancing infrastructure and creating an environment conducive to the growth of promising economic sectors. He also highlighted the ongoing role of Kuwait in supporting various development projects in the kingdom, commending the contributions of the fund in financing and supporting development and economic projects across Arab countries. The Minister of Tourism, Fatma Sarafi, received the 2025 Leadership in Tourism Award from the President of the Arab Tourism Organization, Dr. Bandar Al Faid. The award was in recognition of Bahrain's progress in the tourism sector. The Minister highlighted that the Kingdom continues to enhance its position on the regional and international tourism map. She expressed her appreciation to the organization for the award, emphasizing Bahrain's commitment to working closely with Arab countries to enhance tourism cooperation. The Sarafi added that the award reflects the Kingdom's ongoing efforts to develop the tourism sector as a key pillar of sustainable development. She underscored Bahrain's continued efforts to achieve national goals and meet aspirations for the benefit of the Kingdom and its people. For his part, Dr. Al Faid commended Bahrain's role in advancing Arab tourism and its efforts to achieve sustainable development. The chairperson of the Government Land Investment Committee and Undersecretary for Research and Projects at the Prime Minister's Office, Nof Jamshir, announced the launch of 3 new investment opportunities through the Government Land Investment Platform. She explained that the launch of these investment opportunities comes in the context of supporting efforts to enhance partnership with the private sector and reopen new areas of investors and developers to implement value-added investment projects. She added that the continued offering of investment opportunities reflects the platform's aspirations to meeting the needs of the community and providing sustainable development opportunities. The investment opportunities include a land owned by the Bahrain Tourism and Exhibitions Authority in Bahrain Bay, a residential land belonging to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning in Al Hassam, and a land belonging to the Ministry of Industry and Commerce and the Bahrain International Investment Zone in Salman Industrial City. The ambassador of Bahrain to Indonesia, Ahmed Al Hajri, visited the national football team delegation in Jakarta for the 8th round match of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The ambassador met with the players and the technical and administrative staff, urging them to continue their efforts to achieve the great ambition of Bahraini football. He held a number of meetings through which the Embassy of Bahrain to Indonesia sought to secure all organizational and logistical matters which reflect the good relations between the two countries. The ambassador also met with the Minister of Youth and Sports of Indonesia and the President of the Indonesian Football Federation. The national football team landed in Jakarta in preparation for the 8th round match of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. The team began serious training in preparation for facing the Indonesian national team under the supervision of Croatian coach Dragan Talajic, as the team is looking for an important victory away from home to enhance its chances of competing for one of the qualifying cards for the World Cup.